Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. I can feel the weather changing. It's supposed to start raining, some thunderstorms. It doesn't look too severe, but there are some thunderstorms moving in later today. It's windy right now. I got my good microphone on. I hope it's gonna work. I don't know. We'll find out, won't we? But yeah, I know that some of you, I think, further north of us, might be getting some pretty severe weather. So if you fall in that area, you should know, just be safe and don't do anything stupid, like I do, where I just stand out on the front porch and watch the tornadoes fly by. Anyways, I wanted to, now I know some of you are irritated, and yesterday, when I made my video yesterday and I talked about this for a little bit, I said, I'm done. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I know I'm driving my listeners nuts. They're tired of hearing about it. They want me to move on. I get it. But just please give me, I'm asking nicely, give me a few minutes of your time, and then we'll move on and we'll talk about other things. Yes, it's this homeschool issue stuff here in Missouri. And I always try to be as humble as I can. I don't like people that are bragging, big egos and stuff. It's not my thing. But I've taken a lot of flack for being against this. I was the first big voice. I mean, there were certainly other voices speaking out against this Senate bill that's going to really do a lot of damage to homeschooling here in Missouri if we don't get it stopped. But I was really the first big loud voice, and then a lot of other YouTube channels have made videos because of the stuff that I said. And I've taken a lot of flack because originally there were some pretty conservative organizations that were supporting this bill, and a lot of people, I've gotten messages online, on Twitter, on Facebook, emails of how, I don't know what I'm talking about. Here's this homeschool organization, professional, legal homeschool organization, and they say it's fine, and there's this organization. Well, folks, the old bearded hillbilly might know a thing or two, because just in the last few days we had the most prominent constitutional attorney in the state of Missouri, and one of the more prominent ones in the United States, release his own opinion of it, saying that it's bad, it's wrong, he didn't say this, but basically everything I was saying he agreed with. And then last night, the Homeschool Legal Defense Association, which is the big one, and the Families for Home Education, released a new opinion, and they changed it, and they did a complete reversal, and they are now agreeing. They're not saying this, but their opinion agrees pretty much exactly with mine. That while this bill doesn't specifically say, it's not like all plainly saying that, yes, this will open the doorway for the government to come into your home and spy on you and collect data on your homeschool and require all these ridiculous things, and may even possibly, prosecute you if you have a gun in your home. But they said that it does open the door for that possibility, that there are activist prosecutors and judges, and they could potentially use this legislation to do harm to homeschoolers. So I do feel a little bit vindicated that, for a week now, and my views have gone down because of this. I know a lot of you just don't care. It doesn't mean that you're bad. You don't live in Missouri, even though this is actually happening in several other states. It just seems that Missouri's the big battleground. Like, if they can get this passed in Missouri, they can get it passed anywhere. And there's tens of millions of dollars that's been dumped into getting this piece of legislation passed here in Missouri. It's a lengthy one. It's like 160-some pages long, which is highly, highly abnormal. Maybe one of the biggest bills that's gone through Missouri Congress in a long time, other than just like a funding bill, but a specific bill. So it's a big deal. And finally, people are coming out and saying, after they're reading it, like actually really digging in and reading it, not just reading talking points that was sent to them, they're like, yeah, that's possible. Yeah, that's not a good thing. We don't want to, you know how it is. You give government this amount of space and they're going to take it all, right? And so I feel, not trying to brag, but I do feel a little vindicated that there's been some pretty prominent voices come out and agree with my opinion. So, anyways, the stuff with Iran and Israel, that's not what I'm going to talk about. U.S. says that it'll probably happen this weekend. But here's the thing, and this is the only reason I'm mentioning this, because I know everyone's tired of this topic too. Supposedly, it's being reported that the United States, and I don't know who did it, I don't know if it was Blinken, or Joe Biden himself, or someone high up in the White House reached out to Iran and asked Iran, get this, asked Iran if you could just let Israel, if Israel just agreed to throw some missiles at you and not really do any severe damage, kind of like you did to them, if you could just kind of let that happen so that Israel kind of saves face, and then you did your thing and they did their thing. Can you just maybe just let them do this, and if it doesn't cause any real damage or anything, just kind of let this one pass. The amount of weakness there is just astonishing to me. I mean, I don't really particularly pick sides in this issue. I mean, Israel did originally start this. I'm not necessarily against Israel. I'm just saying that, to be all fair, Israel did originally kind of hit them. But if the United States was strong like it once was, I mean, the president could say, listen, you step one thing out of line, and we will knock you back to the Stone Age. And at one point in time in America's history, that actually worked. So it's just weakness, which actually, saying that kind of segues into the next thing I was actually going to talk about. And some of you have seen this video flying around. I'm not going to show it because it is graphic. It is graphic, and I know many of you have children that watch my channel with me, so I'm not going to show the video, but you can easily view this video. It's all over the internet. And it's this bishop in Sydney, Australia. Many of you have probably seen his YouTube videos. He's quite popular on YouTube. I don't follow his denomination or his faith, but I've listened to his videos several times and agree with him a lot. In fact, I even told my wife once, I was like, I'm not this, whatever religion he is, it's some kind of like Assyrian, it's kind of like Orthodox, I don't know, Christian, Orthodox, Assyrian, not really sure. I told my wife, I said, even though we're definitely not the same faith, I said, man, I'd go to this guy's church and listen to him. He's really smart. I believe has a really good grasp of God's word. I believe he is anointed. I mean, that's my opinion. You can disagree with it. Anyways, the point is a few nights ago, a person, it seems to be a Muslim, but there's been a lot of shakiness in the reporting, entered the church while they were live streaming his service, while he was preaching, and the guy ran up on stage and started stabbing him. Ended up stabbing a few other people in the church. No one was seriously injured. The bishop's name, I think, is Mari Emmanuel. Apparently his injuries were very minor. He's doing fine. I haven't seen anything where he's made a public statement, but that's been what's been said. So, and I mentioned this yesterday, I think, but I want to talk about something here. Now, it is being reported online, and remember, so many things that's said online is absolutely fake. This could be one of them. This could be completely fabricated, fake, everything. Because I can't find anything that absolutely confirms it, but there is talk online. And if you watch the video and slow it down, the video does kind of look to be true. So at the point that this attacker came up and started to attack the bishop, you can see him take the cross around his neck, and he does this kind of thing with it, almost using the cross as a shield. And then the guy proceeds to attack him, striking him in the side of the head, the neck, and the shoulder is what it looks like. But you can clearly see in the video, there doesn't look like any type of like blood, anything like that coming out. The story is that he was using an automatic knife, a switchblade, and the blade did not deploy. Whoa, it's getting windy enough it's gonna knock my camera over. Sorry about that. I hope you may not even be able to hear what I'm saying. Anyways, in the video, you can see, because I know that was one of the first thing I noticed. There was so many multiple strikes to the side of his face, his neck, and his hand. And I understand it takes a little bit of time for, blood to start to show. I deal with medical injuries all the time. I had several just this past week. So I get it. But there was still enough time in the video that you should have started to see something, and I couldn't tell that there was any blood. And so the story is being told that the switchblade, the automatic knife, the blade did not deploy. And so basically he was just beating him with the handle of the blade, which is still bad, but certainly nowhere near as bad as if the blade was actually deployed. Now, if this is all correct, and I understand this is an if, it is believed now that it's possible that there may have been not a coincidence, but a miracle there of this man shielding himself with the cross. And I understand a lot of you probably feel like I do, that it probably wasn't an actual cross. It was most likely a beam that Jesus was crucified on. But it's kind of the same way of, like, some people say Jesus, some people say Yeshua, but there's clear evidence that people have been healed, that miracles have been done by using both names. I believe it's the intent, it's in the heart that matters. And so it looks to be that we may have witnessed a miracle, and I know that many of you are just going to say it's a coincidence. It's probably some cheap Chinese knife that didn't work. Sure, that's possible, but I'm going to claim this one. Now, the point that I'm going to eventually get to here, because I talk too much and get beat around the bush to get to the story, is that afterwards they're saying that about 5,000 people, his followers, Christians in that town, came and surrounded the church, and they were very upset because the police weren't releasing any information. Apparently, when this happened, the parishioners of the church attacked this man and cut his fingers off. I'm not saying that I advocate violence, but if I was there, I certainly don't think I would be stopping that. I mean, that is biblical. I know it's vigilante justice, but an eye for an eye. For the first time in maybe my whole lifetime, maybe my entire lifetime, we are witnessing, at least in one area, and I'm not saying it's all right and it's all justified and everything's done correctly, but we're witnessing Bible believers standing up and seeming to have some backbone and showing some anger and some aggression. And that's not always a bad thing. That's been the hang-up that myself, and I know that many of you have had with the Christian faith, is that it's like, well, to be a Christian, you got to be this pacifist that just keeps turning the other cheek over and over and over and over and over again, and never standing up, never having a backbone, to the point that now so many churches and so many pastors are the most beta males you've ever seen. In fact, a very large, I think I mentioned this also yesterday, a very large mega church had a men's conference apparently over the weekend, and they actually hired a Las Vegas performer. He does all this like trapeze stuff and climbing a pole and swallowing a sword, but he's also a male stripper. And so they hired this guy to come in, take his shirt off, get up on a big pole, swallow a sword. It was actually very ritualistic looking. And while there's all kinds of things going on here that's wrong, but one of them certainly is where were the masculine men that stood up? And there was one preacher that spoke out against it. But I mean, you gotta give him praise for that. But if you listen to what he says, he's so timid, and he's like, I don't want to offend anyone, and I don't want to, and then at the end of this the conference, both of those two preachers came out and basically, shook hands and made up. And where is the anger? Where is the backbone? Where are the men that absolutely will not tolerate? Look at the stuff that's going on, the things that they're pushing in school, these male teachers dressing as women, and the garbage that's being pushed. I've seen so many videos over the last few weeks of, a public bathroom with, maybe a little girl in it or something, and there's some dude in there dressed as a woman. There's a good thing that those kind of people don't exist around here, because I probably would go to prison, because you just got to understand that part, right? You agree with me. Where are the men? Where are the men that stand up? Being a man, it doesn't mean that you have to be a knuckle-dragging, grunting, scratching, abusive, violent man all the time. In fact, I think John Lovell over at Warrior Poet Society does a real good job of explaining that warrior poet mentality, that we have a sensitive side, we're capable of love and protection and compassion and understanding and intellect, but then we can also flip the switch and become a raving lunatic and a monster and a violent, dangerous person, which is what men need to be able to be. That's how we were created to be. I'm quite certain of it. And I believe the problems that exist in the United States, at least, and probably in the Western world, stems originally. I mean, there's lots of reasons, but I think one of the very core reasons that it's happening is because there's a huge vacuum of real men left in this world. And I'm not saying they don't exist, but I'm saying at least not enough. There's not enough in public, there's not enough in the government, there's not enough in the media, there's not enough out there. And it's because of men that's allowed that. We've sat by too long, and we've watched them took prayer out of schools and made abortion legal, and started this feminist campaign of men are bad. We gotta portray every man in every sitcom as being this bumbling, dumb idiot. All of this kind of stuff. And men just stood by and said, well, we don't want to ruffle the feathers. And look at where we're at today. If you have any hopes of things being turned around in this world, it's going to have to come from strong, tough, capably of being violent men. And even if the country doesn't get itself turned around, we need to be that type of person, or at least capable of that type of person, to prepare ourselves for what we're going to face, for the destruction and the collapse that's going on in our world, to be able to protect our families, our homes, and our communities. And so there needs to be violent, aggressive monsters of men. Not all the time, but definitely capable of being that when the moment is correct. So I want to encourage you, if you're that kind of person, don't hide from it. Don't go around and be rude necessarily, but in a very biblical way, according to Scripture, we need to stand firm, stand up, and act like men. As I close this out, I want to remind you that tomorrow, Wednesday, from 9 to 5 at Jefferson City, the Missouri State Capitol, a group of people, including my wife and several others, are going there not to protest or to rally, but to go door to door in the offices and talk to the congressmen and say, this Senate Bill 727 is bad. Do not vote for it. There are rumors that they're going to try to sneak this through in some kind of late hour voting. So if anyone that can make it to Jefferson City Wednesday, what is that, the 17th, I think, from 9 to 5. You don't have to be there all day. You can only show up for an hour or two. It doesn't matter. But they're going to be there from 9 to 5. So if you can do that, certainly do so. If you have any questions about that, you can certainly email me and I'll get back with you. Folks, it's time to get our houses in order and to prepare ourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.